It's Monday, November 17th, 2014. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geeknights. Tonight, what fucking phone to buy in 2014?
Let's do this.
So my computer at work is actually, like, the hard drive is dying.
So just buy a hard drive.
Yeah, but you know what? My computer is shitty. So instead...
Why do you have a shitty computer?
Because it was the one that when I first got there, they were like, well, we need a computer, so I just walked down to the store next door and just bought one on the company card and just... Like,
you didn't go to Newegg and buy a computer?
Because I needed it, like, right then, and I didn't need anything particularly good. I mean, for the first chunk of my job, most of my job is writing emails or, like, drawing things.
Why don't you just get, like, a MacBook? Then?
Yeah, you know what? Most of that stuff I do on my own laptop, because I... So anyway, the problem with buying a computer... from anyone who sells computers as opposed to parts of computers.
Is that they're full of shit?
It's not just that they're full of shit.
In terms of installed software?
Oh, no, fuck that. I still installed, like, clean Windows on it. Like, that wasn't a problem.
Okay.
So I realized this because
you get ripped off on money-wise?
Who cares? It was company card. We were in a hurry.
Someone else's money.
Plus, that computer was like $400.
Okay,
so.
Sure.
So
no wonder it broke.
A lot of people we know, like even smart people we know, like people on Twitter, some of you are listening to this, they buy computers from like Dell and they try to tell me or they try to tell themselves that sure, you could make a computer a little bit cheaper if you made it yourself, but it's not worth the hassle. You know what? The reason you guys are wrong is actually something very specific, and that reason is hard drives. I needed a new computer for work. They were like, the CTO was like, well, just buy a fucking computer, go, buy whatever. So I go online, I look around, like Dell and HP, and just anyone who will just sell me a computer. Pretty much no one sells computers that have, like, more than one hard drive or even an SSD.
In terms of, like, desktop ones?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you'd have to go to, like, the workstation categories.
Even then, usually they offer, the options are like 1 terabyte shit disk, 2 terabyte shit disk, really tiny SSD.
Oh, Rim, you're buying a computer for work with a company card, right? You don't care about money. Why don't you get the Mac Pro trash can? You're only writing emails. It doesn't matter that it's a Mac. What do you care? It's someone else's money. And then, or why don't you get the Retina iMac with the ridiculous screen? It's like you're writing emails. It doesn't need to play games. It just needs to have the most amazing screen ever created.
Yeah, the thing is...
5K screen.
What I got instead...
Imagine reading emails on that shit.
What I got instead was what a company actually does.
If I didn't have to do any gaming or any programming, I would use a Mac. That is the only 2 reasons I don't have any Macs.
So, Scott, actually, we're pretty smart now. Like, I wasn't paying attention. Like, when they hire new people, they basically buy them, like, a stock Asus thing from Newegg, and they're actually, like, super cheap. And for most people, like, they're great, and they cost, like, nothing.
But they don't have a 5K screen.
No, they don't. I'm holding out for eventually I'll just buy some
What is there to hold out for besides a 5K monitor?
Yeah, so right now, you know what I got to hold out for? I can't get that monitor unless it's attached to a Mac.
What's wrong with that?
Macs can't really run the Java stuff that I actually do at work sometimes.
Oh, well.
I guess
that's a reason I don't have one at work either, programming.
Yeah, but
you could use the
So then I realized, talking to, all those people who stupidly buy like HPs and Dells or Alienwares or whatever, and I realized that 99% of the reason their computers are slow is that almost all of them have one spinning disk as their hard drive.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, guys, I looked around to try to figure out, like, is it possible to build a computer that has like an SSD for your games and shit, and an SSD for the OS, and then like one spinning disk just for like your Blu-ray rips
More than
or
one
whatever.
hard drive requires knowing how file systems work, which 99% of users, it'll actually be a problem for them.
Yeah, so
it'll also make the computer bigger and worse.
You just can't.
Physically.
Like, people don't sell those.
No, you got to buy a motherboard with a ton of SATA cables and build one.
Don't even need a ton. You basically just need at most 3. So anyway, I actually found one. So Newegg.
Can't you get a Dell Optiplex and configure it?
They're configuring. I tried that configurator.
Can't you get a Lenovo ThinkPad? Because usually the laptop will have a SSD.
Yeah, but the laptops aren't. So here's what
Couldn't you get a Microsoft Surface Pro? That'll have an SSD in it.
Yeah, you know what I actually want to do with my computer? The only reason I considered like getting one with multiple hard drives, if I have an SSD and a lot of RAM and like an i7 or something, I can really easily run a whole bunch of VMs locally just for my own bullshit.
You can do that on the Mac Pro.
Yeah, I could.
And if it's VMs, then you solve your programming problem.
So Newegg actually has a configurator to build a gaming PC.
Oh, there you go. And instead of just choosing the parts.
Yeah, and you know what?
That's new.
They give you
if it's not new, I haven't seen it.
It's like the iBuy Power or whatever, and it's really simple. They give you like, here's 8 case options, here's your RAM options, here's your whatever options, like really
it's
straightforward.
Guaranteed to make a computer that works?
Yes.
Nice.
And the options are like really straightforward and streamlined.
And they're not giving you choices. Like, they're not hiding from you like, there are other RAM sticks that are the same as these RAM sticks, but $5 cheaper.
No.
But they're not in the configurator.
No, you know how they describe it? It's like 8 gigabytes of generic RAM included. 8 gigabytes of G-Skill whatever RAM plus $20. So under hard drives...
So you're getting the cheapest possible RAM stick you could get.
But under hard drives, they had options ranging from one giant fucking 2 terabyte spinning disk because of whatever. And one of the options was one 256-bit 256 gigabyte SSD and one 2 terabyte spinning disk. Both generic.
Yep.
So I look at the FAQ and they're like, yes, we install the OS on the SSD. And then the other one is just mounted for your whatever.
Oh, they install the OS for you?
They install everything. Clean Windows, though.
Is it really clean Windows?
I'm going to find out if it's really clean Windows. It arrives like tomorrow.
Are you going to give me the disc to...
But the best part was the thing was under $1,000, and it works. So I think. We'll see.
Well, there's nothing wrong with my computer, but...
No, because you and me, I would not buy that motherboard.
Oh, okay.
But for work, that motherboard's probably fine.
Yeah. That's good to know.
Yeah, it actually, like...
How much do they charge you for the labor of putting it together?
It didn't say. It was just like there was a base price, and then it was plus X for any option above the default.
I guess we know what to suggest to people who need a computer but don't want to do the physical building of one in their house.
Basically, if you don't know about computers, all you have to do is go to that thing, pick your budget, and pick options until you're at that budget, and then just hit buy, and it's guaranteed to work.
Way to go, Newegg.
Yeah, like
Newegg, become a public company
I paid
already.
the $5 extra to get them because the default case is ugly as fuck.
Who cares?
It looks like it's like one of those like bright glass LED monsters.
Oh, that's the default one?
Yeah, and then the next one up for $5 is like a little more tasteful. So I paid $5 to be a little more tasteful.
I'm sure you could have opened it and taken the LEDs out.
Probably. Maybe and maybe it's cold cathode tubes. So yeah, but I'm still amazed that people buy computers like that.
I don't know.
If they know better.
They don't. Not too many. The market's gone down to the shitter. Really.
I know.
People just use
because people just
use their phone.
Yeah, they use their phablet.
Or their phablet, or their tablet, or maybe they have a Mac, or maybe they have a Surface Pro too.
Maybe.
Pretty much nothing else sells.
Increasingly, people who don't make things with computers, I've seen
don't
people
need computers.
like they literally don't own computers
if you
anymore.
don't play PC games and you don't use computers to create things like using Adobe products or programming, you don't really need a desktop computer as much. Anyway.
Yeah.
Speaking of, so here's the technology news.
News
for New York, where we live. There are a lot of gentrification monoliths going up around.
Yeah, those things.
There's one particular kind that's going up called Link NYC, which is going to be a weird kind of thing that like lets you make phone calls or call 911 or 311, or it also has advertisements on the side.
So imagine a sponsored modern version of the old telegraph. Pull this thing to get the firemen to come.
Yeah, sort of. But all of these things are going to have in them free Wi-Fi, free public Wi-Fi. I think it's going to be ad-supported Wi-Fi, like that's what's going to pay for it. Is the Subway Boingo Wi-Fi, where when you connect, it makes you watch an ad and then you get your Wi-Fi.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, but it's supposedly, here's the interesting technology bit. Even if you don't live in New York and you don't care, this isn't even going to happen for like a long time anyway, like late next year probably. They're saying that they're going to provide Wi-Fi, quote, up to gigabit speed. So first of all, even if there's like a gigabit fiber cable going to this thing and it has gigabit internet, what Wi-Fi is gigabit speed? Even if it's AC Wi-Fi, the best Wi-Fi a consumer can get right now, and you have a brand new iPhone 6, whatever, that can do AC, That ain't going to be anywhere close to gigabit.
Is it possible that maybe they just mean each pylon has a total bandwidth of a gigabyte?
I mean, it's not...
Or do they let each person download at most a gigabyte before they're like, whoa, dog?
The company only notes that gigabit Wi-Fi is more than 100 times faster than the average public Wi-Fi and more than 20 times faster than the average home internet service in NYC. Downloading a 2-hour HD movie can take as little as 30 seconds. So they're actively promoting the fact that you can download an HD movie in 30 seconds by using this. But you fucking can't, even if you're using 802.11ac Wi-Fi. So
I'll admit I'm not up on recent changes to Wi-Fi.
Basically,
so
there was 802.11g.
I know.
Then there was N, and then there was AC.
Yeah,
and
you
all
know
you
what?
have to know is that AC is the newest and the fastest.
When the last time I looked into Wi-Fi was at RIT when I had access to like we had some like N stuff. Like early N, like we could play with, and we learned how the signaling worked. And I learned a lot about how A, B, and G signal, and that was it.
Basically,
I don't know. I don't even know about AC.
All you have to know is that AC is the best.
How fast is it? What's the range?
Faster than N.
Do you know anything about it?
I know it's the fastest and the best, and that only like the newest Apple devices and some other shit has it, and it's not something you can just get.
802.11 AC. Let's look this up right now.
All right.
Up to a gigabit. So it's totally.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Oh.
Multi-station WLAN support of at least 1 gigabit per second. Single link throughput of 500 megabit per second. Oh, it does so this supports doing the multi-station stuff, kind of like what HDSPA Plus does. So your phone has 4G.
Yep.
My old Nexus 4 does not.
My phone's LTE, which is not real. I mean,
well,
yeah,
it's
whatever.
effectively, yeah.
Right.
So my Nexus 4 does do HDSPA and HDSPA Plus. HDSPA allows a certain amount of download bandwidth, and HDSPA Plus basically, if you're in range of multiple cell towers, it can connect to multiple of them and max each of those channels out if there's not enough congestion to block you. So you can get more bandwidth. I've only ever seen that work in Australia, actually. It never works in the US.
4G for me did not work in Australia, but
Yep.
I will get the different carrier next time.
So it looks like 802.11 AC does something very similar. I will learn about this and talk about it in a future episode of Geeknights because I've been way behind on this stuff.
All right.
Yeah.
Should I buy? I mean, I think my iPhone 6 can do it. So will it be worth it for me to buy an AC router? You know, we should definitely have one at work, though.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh, okay. There's a lot of. Whoa. Okay. There's interesting stuff on this Wikipedia page. I got to see how much of this is available versus potential. So yeah. In other news, you know how we always talk about more like we've done panels in the past where if you made a sim that was
a SIM card?
No, like a sim person, like in the Sims game.
Oh, okay.
If you made a sim ant that fully emulated the behavior of a real ant, is it wrong to torture that ant in the game? You know, that kind of thing. There's an article here, and it's not quite there yet, but this is close enough to where the discussion has to start happening for real.
Okay.
Basically, there's a worm, C. elegans, and C. elegans only has 302 neurons. So someone made a project called OpenWorm to fully emulate the behavior of those 302 neurons.
But I mean, is it perfect down to the quark or whatever the fuck microparticle?
No, so in the sense of, there's a lot more details here.
It's
but
not a simulation of the entire universe.
No, it's a simulation of the behavior of these neurons, meaning the order.
I mean,
and
how
sequences.
accurate is it? Did I get a worm, directly clone its neuron state, and put it next to the table next to the simulation, and they were doing the exact same thing?
Well, basically, so what they did.
How do they simulate the exact stimuli of the environment?
Because the worm has very little sensory input.
Okay.
So basically, the worm's not super complex. 302 neurons that don't appear to have dendritic interactions that matter. Meaning, so one way to map like a neural structure would be that you can look at like 3 neurons connected to a 4th neuron, like 2 of them fire and the 3rd one doesn't, but the 2 is above the threshold, so then the next neuron in the chain fires, like that kind of thing.
Okay.
That's what they're doing here. There's another kind of interaction where like the individual dendrites themselves might have like further logic, essentially.
Biologic?
Well, just like logic. Like
You said logic. I'm like, what?
No, I just swallowed and then said logic.
Because you said logic. I'm like, is he trying to say biologic?
No, I'm fighting off the end of that plague that I had from Australia. So I'm
The
a little
worm
stuffy.
plague?
So basically, what they did is they took that code then that emulates this worm pretty well, and they made a robot that had the same number of basic inputs and outputs.
Mm-hmm.
And they put the software on the robot, and then they presented the robot with stimuli, and they presented worms with the same kind of stimuli, and they would react in the same way.
All right.
And this is like baby's first step into, we have to start having that ethical conversation that up until this point, everyone rational says, but that's theoretical. Why should we talk about that? That's stupid and will never happen. We're getting close to that. So this article is fascinating to read. About, on one hand, how close we are to having, is it wrong to torture this robot? And on the other hand, 302 neurons is still pretty fucking hard to emulate.
Well, if you're having trouble answering these questions for yourself, make it more difficult by watching Alien and then Aliens.
I can watch those movies again. It's been a while.
I watch those movies every day if I want.
We should talk about those on Geeknights.
Whatever.
Yeah. So one other news, real quick. There's a bunch of articles just broke like all at once in the last week. And they basically all said the same thing. They were all like, is Google Glass dead? Isn't everyone dropping Google Glass?
Anything that doesn't make a lot of marketing noise constantly must be dead.
So I read all those, well, not all of them. I read all the articles that run like mainstream tech press.
I'm sure it started with one guy writing an article and every other media outlet just copying.
Yep, because way back, I never talked about this on Geeknights, but back when I was working at the hospital and I got, sick of it, for a while, like, I went to go, like, take the LSAT, so I was like, fuck it, I'll be a lawyer. And then a bunch of listeners who were lawyers were like, no, you will regret that. So I didn't. And then I actually applied to a bunch of jobs doing tech writing, like, for websites and blogs and things.
Oh, yeah, just like for SEO dudes or whatever.
Well, yeah, basically, like those sites that, like, review a million cell phones and all that garbage. And I actually ghost wrote a bunch of articles in different places that got published. But, like, they're those shitty articles about phones that you read.
Yep.
So it's one of those things probably that started it. But basically, in my estimation, because I just sent my glass to get fixed, like the foil all bubbled up, and I actually wear my glass like almost every time I go out, unless I have a reason not to. And I still think it's an awesome piece of hardware, but I've realized it's really only awesome for professionals who have a professional use for it. But all the people who are complaining or quote unquote quitting, without exception, they're using it for stupid bullshit or don't understand its capabilities.
Google Glass, and I've said the same thing for over a year now, it's basically a Bluetooth headset on crack.
Yes.
If you have a reason by which you would be in a situation where you needed to wear a Bluetooth headset, perhaps on crack, then you wear it. If you're not in such a situation, I mean, there's no reason not to wear it, but I don't wear it if I'm not in that kind of situation because it's slightly uncomfortable on my right ear.
Yep. Well, see, that's one
But
problem
otherwise,
you have that I don't have because I have to wear glasses anyway. It's no less comfortable than my existing glasses.
Well, the thing is, I would wear my sunglasses all day if that wasn't strange to other people.
You should totally wear your sunglasses all day.
But the reason is my sunglasses attach to my head by squeezing inwards like a crab claw, pincing against my head sideways. Google Glass stays on my head by resting down on the top of my ear, putting weight onto my lobe, which hurts over time.
Good glasses distribute the pressing, the crushing, the pushing, and the pinching all together and make it just a nice feeling.
Yeah, no, the Google Glass on the right side with the battery puts some weight on the ear, so if I wear it for an extended period, it's not the greatest. But, if it wasn't for that, it's a Bluetooth headset.
But, like, every failed project almost that I see about glass and like everyone's like actual complaints about it boil down to people who really like, the fuck did you think this thing was gonna do? Did you even look at the specs? Like, why? Like Open Table and Facebook, like there's nothing to fucking do with those kinds of apps and Google Glass that would be useful. Maybe Facebook like Messenger stuff, but that's it. A lot of people are trying to watch videos on it. They're trying to like record video on it. It's like, you know what it's for? So my battery doesn't run out at conventions when I'm using my phone to talk to people.
So I can take a picture if both my hands are full. So I can, see who's calling me and decide to pick up or not without having to, if I'm not wearing a Pebble Watch.
Yeah. I imagine all the staff at a fan convention. Like if all of them were wearing a Google Glass, like that would make running a convention a million times
we don't need
easier.
to all have walkie-talkies and shit with little headsets on
Yep,
them.
you have a Google Hangout. Plus, you can just talk to each other. And if, crazy guy shit goes down, all the staffers involved just start recording what's going on while they deal with it. So there's no possibility of future drama.
Yep.
But
it has many uses, none of which are uses that a lot of people tried to do with it.
So I suspect that the long-term push of this, because Google's not going to give up. They've put too much into it, and even though they've lost a lot of
sunk cost fallacy.
Yeah, they're not going to give up on it yet. And if they do, they're going to give up on it in a very long.
They're giving it to Taco Bell employees
and slow fashion. I think it's going to be shifted and focus more on a professional market. They're going to go after like doctors.
They've already done that.
Yeah, I think they're going to really focus on that now, and I think they're going to give up on the mass market consumer side, at least until they have a fundamentally different hardware.
Why don't we make a app that is for the professional market?
I can think of so I already imagine, because they're putting
you put an app on there, so it's like if you're a doctor, it tells you what room you have to be in.
No, Scott, the app I envisioned already.
Hospital.
I envisioned the I am a train conductor app.
Oh, of a orchestra?
Train conductor.
Oh, choo-choo?
Yeah. It combines the video of Go For It guy coupled with the conductor is able to coordinate and everything on the fly and see the schedule and see delays and communicate all that information that right now usually they use their semi-secret, terrible old intercom to communicate. Just put like a Wi-Fi on the train just for them.
You can look at tickets and it can be like ding, and then you can see if tickets legit.
Yep. Those are the kinds of things
can
Glass
look and
can
see
do really
who's
well.
like who. You can take a picture, then you can reference the picture and see who's new on that train and ask them for their ticket. Of course, conductors seem to be able to remember that pretty well.
Yeah.
I don't know if they need the help with that.
But I can imagine a lot of like really awesome professional uses. But to be honest, other than for ultra nerds, I can envision very few like mass market consumer uses, which I'm fine with. If the entire developer community of Glass moves more toward professional applications, that benefits me as someone who has Glass way more than I care about all the consumers who might want something like this. So, things of the day. Sean. So,
I don't know anyone named Sean.
There's a game called Heavy Rain, and it's one of those shitty movie games that we hate. But it had an epic glitch that's so rare. This is a video of a bunch of people like videoing the screen because it happened. And half of it is them laughing so hard they can hardly breathe. And it's pretty funny. Basically, it's, that game where you see the screenshot of there's a funeral and it's like, press X to pay your respects.
I can imagine such a game, which is actually just a movie that pretends to be a game by making you occasionally push buttons.
No, funny like that.
But I have never seen such a game before you showed me your thing of the day before the show.
They exist. So at the end of this game, there's a scene where like there's this kid and you're like rescuing him from a serial killer or something. And at one point, like you can hit X to yell the kid's name. So you're doing a thing. You're like, Sean. And the model like does it like it's a movie scene. And I guess that's cool and immersive and also kind of stupid, but whatever.
But if you don't press it,
nothing happens, I guess. I don't know. I haven't played the game and I never will. But it's only supposed to be during this scene. Eventually, like, you save the kid. Spoilers. And then the entire end sequence of the movie happens, which is one of those, like, quick time event action things. The game glitched out, and you can keep hitting X, and the character's model will turn and yell, Sean! No matter when you hit the button. Throughout this entire many-minute-long cinematic scene. Shit's hilarious. It gets to a point...
Imagine watching Lord of the Rings, but then...
Bilbo!
You push X for him to be like, you shall not pass. And it's like, he's not even there, and it's just like...
like, suddenly you hear him in the distance, like, you shall not... At one point, the character who yells Sean's not on screen anymore. Like, he's off down somewhere else because you're following these other characters. And if you hit it, you hear him yelling in the distance. Like... So...
Like, what's taters? You shall not pass.
Wow, I kind of want that game now. So yeah, this is actually pretty funny.
Okay, so these dudes in Australia went to Japan because I guess they were nerdy, wanted to go on vacation.
That's a good
and
vacation.
It's very close to them. If we lived in Australia, man, we can go to Japan all the
be
time.
there pretty often.
We can go there as often as we go to Florida. Anyway.
Okay, I just want to say, Scott, you know what the first comment on this video you're about to describe is? The ride of a lifetime.
That's true. So they went to Japan. And they went to, the Japanese, game center where there's all kinds of pachinkos and other things of that nature. And they found a machine to put money into. And I guess it wasn't that much money, so they decided to put money into it. And they just went with it. So this machine It's a typical machine where you put in coins and there's a pusher, and the pusher pushes the coins along, right? And then shit happens. And the shit that happens is a video slot machine. So you put enough coins, it pushes coins, then the slot machine rolls, and stuff happens. There are also balls, big rubber balls, that are in there, and they can get pushed off the edge too. When one of those gets pushed off the edge, even crazier stuff happens. And it escalates and escalates. And this machine, I don't know who made this, or like who designed it. I'm really, really fucking curious as to who made this thing, and everything that went into it. But these Australian dudes, they just fucking go with it. And they just keep putting money in and seeing all the crazy shit, and they get hooked on it.
I am amazed at the sheer number of physical objects that move.
They put so much effort into it, and you got to watch this video to the end. Just keep watching it. They edited it really well, so it's as short as it can be. This machine is fucking incredible. Thank you for saving me the trouble of ever playing this machine in my entire life. I can just see this, and I'm good.
My favorite moment is when the camera pans down, and the one guy's just like leaning his forehead down because he can't deal with it anymore.
You must see the glory of this arcade machine. Why do we just have stupid, shitty cranes and crap? If we had these things, I might have been coerced into dumping a bunch of money at least once in my life.
You know, I wonder, because Wildwood's Boardwalk has been getting increasingly lame, if you just had one of these motherfuckers.
No, we just bought one of those empty spots.
No, but in the
and put in a bunch of shit just like this.
You know what I would do? I'd buy one of those spots because it can't be expensive on that boardwalk anymore.
No, it can't be.
I would have an arcade, and it just has one of these machines on a little stage in the middle, and that's it.
That's the whole room.
That's the whole room, and you pay. Basically, you have to pay to go up there to even be on the stage, and it's more like a spectator event.
Yeah, I think you just fill it with these things. Get one of every crazy Japan machine, and just let people
get the old weird stuff like that finger butt game.
Yeah, I'm sure you can go to a game center and they're putting in new pachinko machines when they come out. They're getting rid of old ones. You can get a lot of old, used machines from them. You'd pay for shipping once, and then the shipping will pay for itself.
You can make
eventually.
some money, I think.
Because the old, the machines that the game center is removing today will be incredible for the U.S. today.
Yeah.
Right? And maybe buy one brand new machine.
So, in the meta moment, the book club book is Watership Down, the famous book about rabbits by Richard Adams. I got past the cult rabbits. I really like the cult rabbits.
Didn't even start yet.
Yeah, there's cultist rabbits, Scott.
The society rabbits, I mean. Society rabbits.
And yeah, I hear there seem to be some more rabbits coming, and there seems to be some trouble going down now.
Okay.
Book's mostly about rabbits.
No kidding.
We don't have any conventions until PAX South in San Antonio, and then PAX East in Boston. If you didn't buy tickets to PAX East, well, fuck you. They're sold out. They were sold out a long time ago.
Too late.
And if you failed to get tickets, it's your own fault. There were Friday, Saturday, and Sunday badges available for hours after the badges went on sale.
Now, you couldn't get a 3-day. The 3-day pass is sold out in 7 minutes.
But 3-day badges are basically mythical.
You had a 3-hour time window in which you could have bought a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday pass, which is just a more expensive 3-day pass.
And if you think, but they could distribute these badges a better way, one,
you're
fuck
wrong.
You. Two, I outlined every possible way they could distribute those badges in our forum and described why every one of them is worse than how they do it now.
Also, they sold out, so why should they change anything? They made the maximum amount of money they could possibly make.
If they raise the price, they can make more money.
Yeah, but they don't without, going against their principles.
Oh, yep. First principles. So, watch our YouTube videos. Geeknights Presents Utena is returning soon. Just hold your horses and Jesus, stop emailing me about it.
How many emails do you have?
I've gotten...
All right, you're in your Gmail right now. Search for Utena. I want to see how many results there are.
So I've gotten, I believe, 3 emails about it, and I've gotten 4 or 5 YouTube
Your Amazon,
plus.
me, Emily, me.
Maybe there
Other
are
people
plus
we
notifications.
know.
Let me try to find these plus ones. How can I search for just my plus notifications?
Just search for Utena.
That's not... God damn it. How do I even... I will try to find out how many I've gotten. Less than 10, more than 5. People have bothered me about it.
Oh, look, there's people named Utena. Hello.
Yeah.
Oh, there's actual Utena. Hello.
Oh, Utena Tenjo. What's going on here? She's got 109 followers.
What did she do today?
Is that a bunch of her in space?
That's all. It's an amazing art. I wish I had the full res for my wallpaper.
Oh my god, I'm gonna find out what that's from. That's pretty good.
All right.
Oh, it's Russian. Check it out. Whoever this person is Russian.
Utena is Russian?
I guess.
Sweet.
But it's a picture of Lieutenant Tenjo. That's a good lieutenant. Oh, she's playing it. Oh, this is really good.
All right.
We found a good thing here. So yeah. Anyway.
Other meta items. You should go to the internet in all those places, such as Google+, Facebook, Twitter, IRC, etc., newsletter, every place. We are there. We are there for you. Go on the internet and find us. If you're listening to this already, you probably don't need to know that. But maybe tell your friend.
So, I need to buy a new smartphone, or at least I thought I did.
Why do you need to? What's wrong with the one you got?
Exactly. That's where this came down to. So I was trying to decide, like, if I was going to buy, or were going to buy, a smartphone right now, November of 2014, right after a generation of cell phones came out. So a new generation, like all the new stuff is out. We're past like a peak of new stuff appearing. New stuff won't appear again for a while, though actually, I just saw a leak that Sony might have a Z4 that's going to be announced in January.
Their Xperia Z whatevers are getting popular, so they seem to be cranking them out. Like they finally got a wedge in there.
Yeah.
And sort of the gap left by some of the other phone manufacturers. So they're milking it for all it's worth because Sony is not doing too well over in the big picture.
No, they're not.
Some of their, that's sort of always been Sony's story. They always have some department of Sony, because they're so huge, that's doing successfully, and a lot of other parts that are just taking a hit. And so whenever one part of Sony starts doing well, they're like, oh my God, let's milk that for all it's worth.
So because occasionally, like, what if your smartphone dies? So I decided to figure out if my smartphone died today, what would I immediately just buy on the internet? And in doing my research, it's not even like there aren't small smartphones. There aren't even normal-sized smartphones anymore. The iPhone 6 is the second smallest smartphone you can buy that's modern.
Yeah, the iPhone 6 also, now that I've had it, it is too big.
Yeah.
It's not even the Plus. I'm going to do, when the iPhone 6 is done in 2 years, I will not get anything that is this size or larger. I'm going to find something smaller.
Yeah, so guess what? Guess how many smartphones there are that are smaller, that are within a current generation or two?
iPhone 5S.
Yes, you can get the previous iPhone, or you can get the Sony Z3 Compact.
Yep.
Not the regular Sony Z3.
No.
The regular Sony Z3 is a fucking monster. The Compact is actually smaller than the iPhone 6.
Yep.
It's like a millimeter, half a millimeter.
But is that screen
thicker.
a Retina screen?
It's super high res, but I don't think it's as high res. It is really high res though. Basically, everything about the Sony Z3 Compact is perfect except one. It's still a fucking monster. It's just the smallest of the monsters. Like, it's the smallest Titan. But it's still a Titan. It's
iPhone Nano is coming. They're going to save us.
This fucking...
I have faith.
The Z3 Compact... Compact. It's called the Compact. It's the small boutique version. Is bigger than any cell phone I have ever owned in my life.
iPhone 4, come back.
I know, my God. What, these people. So... the only problems with it, other than that, it's too big on an objective scale, but it's the smallest one. So leaving that aside, one, it's Sony. Two, it's not stock Android.
Nope.
So they have promised...
Can you put the Cyanogen mod on it?
I guess you could. I saw some people had some trouble because Sony, so I'm curious about that.
I'm sure it's never going to be easy.
But...
I know someone at Cyanogen, though.
They did promise, Sony did say... openly in writing that Lollipop will drop on them soon. The ROM stuff was announced. Like, it is possible to run Lollipop on them. If I buy one, I'm going to wait until Lollipop drops and wait to see if it works.
See, that's the kind of shit you never had to worry about with iOS.
That's also the kind of shit you never have to worry about with a stock Android phone. Oh.
You mean the only one, which is the Nexus? My coworker has been desperately trying to buy the Nexus 6.
Why?
Which is the biggest of the bigs.
Why not just buy a Pizza Stone?
Why not just buy an iPad Mini?
Well, at that point, why not just carry around a Surface Pro?
Why not?
So
with a Bluetooth headset.
Seriously.
Put it in your bag.
Yeah. So
you know what? This actually makes Google Glass a better right? Bigger phones are a better case for Google Glass because if your phone is so big,
You leave it in your messenger
you
bag.
never want to like carry it, or you can put it in a messenger bag instead of a pocket.
Yep.
And Google Glass can basically mean that you hardly ever have to open that messenger bag and get it.
And then that screen's never on, so that battery will last like a week.
Yeah, I mean, it basically is a battery.
And
It's a battery and a radio.
and occasionally you'll pull it out to watch a movie on it when you're stuck on a bus somewhere.
or play Hearthstone.
Yeah. So, not stock Android's actually a big problem for me, but there are no reasonable options hardware-wise that run stock Android.
Yep.
The 4 is the smallest Nexus, and that's what I have now. The 5 is bigger, so it's already worse. Not faster or better in any other way that matters. In fact, the only difference I can see is that one, it had a huge camera bug that was only recently fixed.
What about that Moto X thing people like?
It's fucking gigantic.
Oh, alrighty then.
Yeah. I cut out cardboard like versions of every phone size to like try them out, and they're monsters. Like they're jokes. Like if you went back 4 years and made a video parodying people with big like giant phones, and you like if you made a video and showed people using the phones of today 4 years ago, you would think it was a joke. It's waterproof, like completely waterproof. Like take it underwater.
Like throw it in the ocean and take it out of the ocean?
Yes.
What?
Actually, I think the Nexus, the new one, is also waterproof. Like, all the new smartphones are waterproof.
Like I can put it into it, submerge it fully in my bathtub, let it sit there for 10 minutes, put my hand down there and use it.
30 minutes.
30 minutes?
Scott, look, here's the pictures they're marketing it with.
All right.
It's just underwater.
Let's take it to the ocean and see if that fucking happens, and then get the day after you buy it so the warranty is still there.
Here. In compliance with IP65
It actually
and
looks
69,
really good, except it's really big.
protected against the ingress of dust and is waterproof. Dust tide, protected against low pressure jets of water from all practicable directions, can be kept under 5 feet of fresh water for up to 30 minutes.
Water. Stay away from the ocean.
Yeah. So that's cool, but other phones are able to do this without anything fiddly. The Z3 Compact has little doors over the USB port. So you have to open this little door
So
whenever
if you
want
open
to
the
charge
little door and bring it in the water, you're in
it.
trouble?
You're fucked. It's not waterproof if the door's open.
Yeah. That door is something that's going to break.
Apparently
You
the
know
door feels really fragile and people are really worried about it, but it seems to actually not break. Granted, the phone's new, so we'll see how long that lasts. But for now...
I mean, there's a reason that they never put little doors and shit like that on Apple devices ever.
Yeah.
Right?
Little doors are
How
the
come
worst
other people
idea.
don't just learn that fucking lesson? I don't get it. It's like there are things that Apple does well. You can just fucking copy them.
So basically, because the iPhone 6 is just actually too big, I ruled it out. I can't. I would buy an iPhone 5S if I had to buy an iPhone.
Nothing wrong
right
with
now.
an iPhone 5S.
I would not buy the 6.
Nothing wrong with it.
So then I did the second analysis. Would I be better off just buying another Nexus 4? Because you can get those
What's
things.
wrong? Well, you have a Nexus 4 though. Why would you buy a Nexus 4?
Well, if it broke. If
Oh.
I had to buy a phone right now.
Are you going to break it on purpose? You give an excuse to buy a new phone?
No, because the answer
That's
to
your
what
go-to move.
the answer to why would I ever do that?
You do that often.
When have I ever
What
done
happened to your
that?
DS Fat?
I'm really sad that my DS Fat broke. I
Hey,
wish
you broke on purpose so
I
you could
w-
buy a new DS
I
without
wish-
feeling guilty?
I wish I still had my DS Fat because that's some serious fucking street cred.
Sure.
Yeah, it kind of is.
Mhm.
Even though that screen was kind of meh.
It wasn't mad the day we got it.
No, it wasn't. The worst thing is, it broke while I was playing Pokemon.
Not
So-
Advance Wars.
No. Well, I'd already beaten every possible Advance Wars at that point.
Mm.
So, if I had to buy a smartphone today, based on all of my research, I would buy another Nexus 4. Because the only disadvantage of the Nexus 4 is it will never run Lollipop. It's too old.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, it's the 5 will get Lollipop supposedly, but the 4 will not.
What does Lollipop do that what came,
According to Steve Pomeroy,
what
it's
came
amazing.
what came before Lollipop?
Kit Kat 4.4?
So what's the difference?
I don't know. I haven't done any. I didn't look into that too much.
All right.
But people I trust, like Steve Pomeroy,
Well, I can trust
said that
him.
it's cool.
All right.
Like, he actually was like, it's really cool. Have you seen it? I was like, no, but now I really want to.
What can it possibly be on there?
Yeah. But what people seem to say is that they've fixed almost all of Android's like long-running UX problems, and the overwhelming sentiment on the internet is basically that it's not better than iOS, but the getting better momentum is growing, and it's getting better faster than iOS.
Mm-hmm.
Which
iOS doesn't really have any room to grow.
Yeah, that's a very subjective thing. But seriously, the only problems, the Nexus 4 is the best phone to buy right now because one, it still runs stock Android, and KitKat is fine for most people. It's plenty fast. It's so fast that there's like I tried a bunch of other phones in stores. Nothing's faster except games. I don't play that many games on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
Like Google Maps, all the stuff I do is equally fast as far as humans are concerned. Mm-hmm. The only drawback in the world is that it does not support 4G. It only supports HDSPA+, which you know what? Is actually fast enough unless you're uploading a lot.
Well, I mean, I watch YouTube videos sometimes.
So do I.
Nice
the HDSPA is plenty fast down. Its problem is it's asymmetric. So you don't have a lot of upstream. So I'm not going to upgrade my phone because the Nexus 4 is the best Android phone available today.
And then your phone's going to break and you won't be able to get a Nexus 4.
Let me see if I can buy another Nexus 4 from Google Direct.
I didn't
right now.
mean today. I meant in the future.
Well, in the future, I'm hoping I'm going to try to hold out until another generation of phones comes out.
I got 2.
Oh, shit! And Lollipop announced for Nexus 4.
There you go.
Yeah. Fuck yeah. All right. The best smartphone on the market today is the Nexus 4.
All right. Whatever.
Or maybe the iPhone 5S.
Hopefully in 2 years we'll have iPhone Nano.
Well, I'm hoping because it seems
if they
like,
come out with iPhone Nano in 1 year, I'm going to be hella pissed.
from what I can gather, the Z3 compact was kind of like not aimed at a U.S. market. Like that's aimed more at like Japan and other countries.
But don't they like even bigger phones than U.S. people
But
like?
they also like the tiny boutique phones.
Maybe.
Like they'll always have like the big version and the compact version. So the compact was, from what I've read, was not intended to be marketed heavily in the U.S., but I get the impression that the Xperia is selling way better than anything they've ever made in recent memory, and the compact is selling way more than they expected. So my hope against hope is that a Z4 or a
Someone
Z5
will
compact,
realize, hey, there's actually a market for a phone that's not ginormous. Maybe we should make some.
if I were Sony, my Z4 or Z5, I would have two options of every phone: a phablet version and a compact version. Because I think the part of phones that disappeared was the small ones. I think what actually needs to disappear in the market is the current sized ones. You either need to go like iPhone 6 Plus or compact. And I think that middle ground between those two is actually the one that has the least real market appeal.
Yep.
And to all the people who said that their Nexus 4 is too slow, the fuck are you doing on your Nexus 4? Like, seriously.
Man, okay, so like my coworkers, right, the one that's buying the Nexus 6.
I took a Nexus 4 and Nexus 5 next to each other in the T-Mobile store and did a bunch of stuff. There is literally no difference in responsiveness.
Right. It's like the coworker that's buying a Nexus 6. It's like they're all like saying, "Oh, you can't use iOS. It doesn't do all this stuff." And I'm like, "What the fuck are you doing on your phone?" You know? And he's like, "Well, I got all these videos. I'm like my NAS at home, and I want to be able to just like, you know, download those videos onto my phone and watch them."
iTunes Handbrake, whatever. Like, it's not
right.
rocket
And they're like,
science.
"No, that's so much work to be like iTunes Handbrake, whatever. It's a pain in the, you know."
Wait, so it's not like it's easy to watch videos on your Android phone.
They're like there's like, well, the video player can just play any old video, so I just dump them all on the SD card and I carry around my video library on my phone, and
All right.
and it's like, and then I use just like this, you know, free video player softwares, and it's like, whoa. So the reason, right? So it's like, why? First of all, what are you doing that you need to watch these videos on your phone? He's like, don't you watch a movie on the subway? And I'm like, no, I don't watch 90-minute long feature films on my 15-minute subway ride. Nor do I watch 15 minutes of a 90-minute movie at any point in my life.
You know what?
If I'm going to watch a movie, I sit the fuck down and concentrate fully on that movie for its entire
You know what I
length.
watch on my commute? Things that are about as long as my commute, meaning one episode of an anime.
I listen to a podcast, which I could do with the oldest possible iPod.
I can listen to half of a Dave and Joel on the way to work and the other half on the way from work.
Yep.
I can listen to one pseudopod story per direction because they're all about 27 minutes.
Yep.
And if I had longer commutes, like if I was in Metro North again, I'd have an iPad and I'd watch stuff on that.
Yep.
I wouldn't watch it on my phone.
So it's like people are just doing weird things, which is creating a demand for weird stuff, right? It's just
well,
like,
I think it's because
it's like my philosophy is don't change your technology, change yourself. It's easy.
Well-
Changing you is free. changing computers and technology takes a lot of time and pain in the assness.
Well. So here's the real issue, I think. The things people use computer technology for are starting to diverge, like in the last 5 or 6 years, way rapidly. And the people who primarily consume media versus the people who do pretty much anything else, those are the two use cases of computers now. That has nothing to do with the form factor, where, how, battery, anything. No one thinks about, like, I need a small device on the go and a big device at home. They think solely in terms of I'm consuming media or I'm creating media. So as a result, people like this, I think, are thinking, I watch movies on my thing. Their thing being whatever computing device they use. So they buy the biggest smartphone because that's like just their device. And that's it. And then they have a laptop at work. I know people who are not that much older than us who have a computer at work that they use for work, and they do not have a computer at home anymore. And they are programmers.
Well, how do they program anything?
They program at work.
They don't program when they're at home?
No, unless they have to work from home and then they bring the work laptop home.
What do they do at home?
I don't know. Whatever muggles do at home. Like, I don't...
What hobby do they have, and how does even if you're not using the computer for programming, because that's just your job, right? A lawyer might not lawyer at home. A dentist doesn't dent at home, right?
Except a serial killer dentist.
Right. So you don't have like a dentist chair in your home, unless it's one of those home office dentist things.
Or you're a serial killer.
But even if you are not using the computer to do programming at home, because programming is only a job and not a hobby, a computer, a real computer, is essential in assisting absolutely any other worthwhile activity. And even, if you're not programming, it will do that in ways that tablets, phones, etc. still cannot do.
For a lot of people, the tablet phone does everything they would ever do with a computer at home. Watch media, look up a recipe, call grandma. Look at a website.
You don't play any PC game ever.
No, those people don't.
You don't BitTorrent anything ever, because it's really hard to BitTorrent with just a phone. Those movies that you're watching.
I think those people all watch Netflix and Amazon stuff. Or iTunes.
There's no website you ever go to that is like some content that is not mobile friendly.
Yeah, you know what? You want to know something really weird? I don't know what to make of this. I suspect a large number of people that we interact with, and maybe even some people we know, very rarely open a web browser and type in a URL.
You never have to type something of any length whatsoever.
Most people don't.
You never had to like open up a spreadsheet because for some reason.
I've noticed most people don't even use like Google Docs.
Like I have to use a spreadsheet to order comic books every month, so I need real Excel. There's no way I can do that even with the new Excel for iPad.
No, seriously.
I can't do that.
For Kineticon, sure, we use Google Docs for a ton of stuff, but for the actual like master like schedule layout, I use Excel. Mm-hmm. Because it just, like, other things don't work very well, and it's not worth the effort to write, like, an integrated application to do that for a once-a-year task.
And even though there's Excel on mobile devices, you're going to type on that touch keyboard or plug your iPad into a keyboard.
And I've noticed more and more people buy keyboards to plug into their phones. Notice how more and more phones are supporting USB on the go. Do you know what USB on the go is?
No.
Oh, my God. It is the most fucking awful thing ever. Just go look it up. It takes
iPads and iPhones just have lightning keyboards.
Yeah.
Or Bluetooth keyboards.
Yeah. So here, I'm going to see if there's a good quote from the USB on the go.
Is it in a giant
oh my God.
Is it in a monster truck jumping over a USB?
It has its
cable?
own Wikipedia page separate from USB.
How come there's no monster trucks? It's supposed to be on the go, isn't it?
Basically, take the unidirectionality of USB that prevents you from doing stupid things and remove that.
So you can put it in the wrong way?
You can plug it in both directions.
Oh, and it works both ways.
Yes.
That's good.
It is, but it was not very robustly thought out. And this was something
Lightning cables can go in both ways, and they work just fine.
Yeah, I know. You know what? USB on the go was a bad solution to a problem that already had a solution, either by using the existing technology as intended or making a new technology. Instead, they made this fucking half measure. It's read it. It's just really sad, and I don't like it, and it's a bad thing. I'll link to the Wikipedia article on it.
Oh, it was too bad that Palm WebOS wireless charging. They got everything right.
Yeah, except
tiny phone. All the apps are perfect.
Did you see those pictures I posted? I found my Palm Pre because it was in my desk at work when I was
put
moving
it next
desks.
to a big phone.
Oh my God, it's so tiny and it's perfect.
It has a keyboard.
It had. I don't. I've given up on the physical keyboard. Like,
why don't you just you can get that to work again? Maybe.
No, you can't. I tried. So
you can find one that was never purchased. Maybe.
No. Here's the problem. To activate it, you need to be able to connect to servers that no longer exist.
Oh.
It's dead.
There's no way that you could just activate it with a carrier as a phone?
There are crazy bootloader things you can do to put it in a mode to then activate it and use it on Wi-Fi.
There's no loss in trying.
Every one of those applications is probably malware.
No.
Like the websites of the Palm Pre hobbyists look like dodgy Russian hacking sites. I don't trust that shit, and I'm just not.
Why don't we do something about that? For 5 people that will want it.
The thing is, the Palm Pre is too out of date. The processor was too slow.
We should just start a fucking phone Kickstarter for, Pebble worked, right? They succeeded. And the Kickstarter should be small fucking phone. Phone that's reasonably sized.
Yes.
Kickstart it.
You know what? It'll be 1 millimeter thicker, and it'll be 1.5 inches smaller in every direction.
It'll be the same as an iPhone 4, but only it'll be modernly fast with a quality screen. Run stock Android. The end.
Yeah.
We will always update it with the most newest Android. It'll be unlocked with every radio for the whole world.
We'll ask Conrad what Snapdragon chip to put in there.
Let's just try to. We'll just get the newest whatevers. We'll just hire hire away some of the best phone making people. We'll just make the best phone.
This has been Geeknights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music, Kat Lee for web design, and Brando K for the logos.
Be sure to visit our website at frontrowcrew.com for show notes, discussion, news, and more.
Remember, Geeknights is not 1, but 4 different shows. Sci-Tech Mondays, Gaming Tuesdays, Anime Comic Wednesdays, and Indiscriminate Thursdays.
Geeknights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license. Geeknights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.